Now, you've personally raised $19 million for some of your startup ventures. How important is capital raising for entrepreneurs looking to build business?
Oh, immensely. And there's this huge gulf between business owners and venture capitalists and financiers. There's a physical gulf in that the business owners don't know even who to call. And there's a knowledge gulf where the average business owner doesn't have a clue how to raise money. So it's one of the most useful skills. And I put a caveat on that because a better skill is to learn how to build a business with no money, really. And a lot of people will seek money as a rescue for the fact that they don't have a good business model, so they need money to expand. But if you look at the research in the Inc. 500, the US fast-growing private companies, you'll see that the vast majority of them were only started for a few $1,000s. I think it's more than 40% of them were started for under $10,000, and it's something like 14% of them were started for like $2,000 or $3,000. So you don't need a lot of business money to start a business and make it work well. Let me just say that. But there does come a time, and I have certainly used other people's capital to expand much faster. So how do you do that? Well, you just do the same thing as I advocate every time. You buy a book on it, and then you buy another book on it, and then you buy another book on it, and then you do a course on it, and then you ask people about it, and then you just get better and you make notes and improve. All business skills are learnable. You know, when I read a great book called Enterprise and Venture Capital, I literally rang the author up and I took him to lunch, wherever he wanted to go. And I'd never done that before. And he said, "Why did you do this?" I said, "Because this book is worth $1 million to me." And I did. I raised $5 million with the techniques of that book. And that was over 10 years ago. And I knew nothing about raising money back then. So if you don't learn that, if you don't take the time, like any other business skill, to learn how to do it, then it's no wonder that financiers say no to you.
What are some of the tips you give to entrepreneurs looking to raise capital, particularly in the early stages of adventure?
The first thing is that you need to get good at writing a business plan and projections. So there's a system of doing that, and there's a way of doing that that isn't just about 50 pages of information. You know, I think a good presentation should be 10 slides. The time length of the presentation should be 20 minutes. It should be succinct but very carefully thought out. So first of all, learn how to do that. Second of all, learn a very important aspect if you're going to venture capitalists or angel investors, is work out what return is suitable for them and what valuation is appropriate. See, most people don't know how to value their company. Now, how do you value your company? Well, largely on industry norms and on time norms, and size norms. So work out, in this industry, hamburger shops tend to be sold at X. Now that's probably going to be 3 times their profits in a small business. In businesses that are this many years old tend to have a valuation like this. Businesses that are X and Y, etc., tend to have a valuation like this. You've got to do that homework, because what happens is they ask for a ridiculous amount of money and a ridiculous valuation and wonder why they say no. So that's the other thing that I think is really important.
Now, as a business starts to scale, so coming out of the startup phase now, what are some of the crucial elements for entrepreneurs to begin to understand heading into that growth phase?
Well, I think that you need elegance to be established. So when you're first starting out, you're hopefully trying everything, and lots of stuff isn't working, and then you need to get to a beta model. You need to get to a model that is working fine. And you need to understand every aspect of that model. And then you need to tweak each aspect of that model. So McDonald's 30 years ago was working really well. But the McDonald's model now has been tweaked another 10,000 times. So it's working even better, right? So you need to have a feeling that you're creating an organism, not just creating a business. And you need to nurture it like a little cat. You say, what's it like when I give it this food, and when I give it a place to sleep here? Now, what if I did this? What if I combed it twice a day, etc.? And you just keep refining the model, The organism gets healthier, and eventually you've so refined it that it looks like magic. to a competitor because they can't they can't see that it was just tiny changes that did it. It just looks so far ahead of everybody else that it's incomprehensible to people.
Now you're doing amazing things with the Fortune Institute. What's the need for it and what's the intention behind the Institute?
Well, I think there's a huge need for the Fortune Institute because when it comes to business education, there's two types. There's the university model, which is very expensive, is very time demanding, and thirdly is quite impractical. A lot of the stuff just, as we know, is academia and it doesn't work in the real world. And then there's some teaching where the people teaching you have no experience in business. And in the middle, we think the gap is for practical, incisive information about business that actually works, that you can actually use the next day to make more money, that's taught by people who have actually done it. And that's what we think is the big gap. This is the thing that's missing in education. People don't want to spend 10 hours a week on their business education. They don't have time. So what can you do in 1 hour for somebody that will really help their business? And so that's what the Fortune Institute is. It's basically 1 hour video lessons that get sent to you. It's a forum all day long, so you can ask entrepreneurs questions all day long online, and then it's a live question and answer session once a week, where people, instead of paying a large amount of money to consult with me personally, they can get online and for basically nothing talk to me and I'll give them answers. And that's a three-pronged approach to the Fortune Institute.
I believe you're creating a bit of a community and a bit of a movement behind the Fortune Institute. How can people be involved?
Well, basically, if they go on thefortuneinstitute.com, it explains everything about the site, and there's a lot of blog entries and there's a lot of testimonials, and people can really see what it's like. And frankly, it's incredibly expensive. We just have a $1 trial, so you have 2 lessons for $1, and then it works out, I think, about $216 a month. Now, the truth is that you don't have to teach much to make sure people get 100 times the value of when you're charging $216 a month. So we try and make sure every week there's a few things that can make people tens of thousands of dollars. That's our aim. Every week you should be able to make tens of thousands of extra dollars if you apply what we say. And I'm pretty confident that each week we deliver that.
Great.